Just about a year ago, Richard Saghian was kind of an off-the-radar billionaire, one that most people had never heard of. But after he dropped $141 million on one of the biggest and most expensive homes in America, his face and name was on the front page of every major news outlet. Not only was it crazy and fascinating to see one man drop that kind of money on a house, but this specific property was the source of a ton of controversy since construction started about 10 years back, with the developer behind the home, Nile Niami, ultimately losing the mega mansion at bankruptcy auction. Anybody who's been following my channel for a while knows basically everything there is to know about the one property, so we're not here to dwell on those details today. What we are going to talk about today, though, is how the buyer of the one just dropped another $40 million bucks on a mega mansion, but this time in Malibu. As of the last report, Richard Saghian has a net worth of over $2 billion, so it's not a surprise that he's dropping hundreds of millions of dollars on luxury real estate. I mean, when you have that kind of money, there's really only a couple of ways that you can spend it. The first and the most common is on luxury real estate. The second is on fancy over-the-top cars. The third is on rare collectible artwork. The fourth is on big boats and yachts. And last, of course, private planes. I guess if I was in Richard's shoes, I'd probably be buying up a bunch of trophy properties as well. Speaking of shoes, fashion is the source of Richard's wealth. He is the founder and CEO of a budget clothing company called Fashion Nova, who reportedly does over $1 billion in annual sales and continues to grow year over year. They say Fashion Nova is one of the most Googled fashion brands out there, beating even Louis Vuitton, Versace, and Gucci. Moving on to Richard's latest buy, The Real Deal reported that the beachfront home is located at 22446 Pacific Coast Highway, and it was picked up by Richard in an all-cash deal. The home is sitting right on PCH, obviously, and it has 70 feet of beach shoreline frontage to the west. And you can't really tell from this shot, but it's a decent-sized lot for the area too, at just under 17,000 square feet. Zillow tells us the property has 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, and 6,125 square feet inside. And even though you'll see here in a minute in the photos that the home looks brand new, the original home was actually built back in 1976, then stripped down to the bones before a gut renovation. When you think about the fact that Richard just bought the one about 9 months ago, it makes you wonder why he would buy another house in the area that's basically right down the street. I mean, even with traffic, Google Maps tells us the homes are like 35 minutes away from each other. But here's the thing, the one is crazy big at 105,000 square feet with 21 bedrooms and almost 50 bathrooms. Plus, the one doesn't even have a certificate of occupancy yet. So I kind of feel like Richard just picked this little place up in Malibu right down the street while he works on getting his C of O over at the one. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any finished photos of the Malibu house online, but thankfully Redfin still has all of the renderings up, so let's check those out next. I think that you guys are going to agree that these are a set of those renderings that are so good, it's almost hard to tell that they're even renderings. So you don't usually see listings that start off in the backyard, but of course being oceanfront is one of the best parts about this property, and the fact that you're in Malibu, of course. The swimming pool is pretty tiny, but there's not a whole lot of room, so you get what you get. Here's another great angle looking back at the house from behind the spa that just show how cool those lines are. And then this is what you see if you approach the home off of PCH. It kind of doesn't even look like a house, but then when we flip over to this next shot, you can see the front door over there to the right. And then there's a spot to park your car in that pocket on what looks like one of those like car turnstiles, I think they call them, where you can park your car and then it will rotate your car basically 360 degrees. Here's a closer look of what you see when you're walking up to the front door with the hedges on the right and that little water feature. And then it's kind of interesting when you do walk inside, you're not met with the ocean views right away, which is pretty unique. You've got this little like foyer area and then the ocean is right around the corner. So see, this is what I was saying about the renderings, like all of this, the flooring, the furniture, the ocean views, like everything looks super realistic, but obviously this is the great room area. Here's a shot looking the other direction towards the kitchen. It's a pretty small kitchen, but it's a beach house house, you don't really need much. You're probably going to be spending more time outside than inside anyway. There's a staircase that takes you up to the second level where it looks like most of the bedrooms are. The master bathroom has a little balcony off the bathroom, a soaking tub, and then probably shower behind that glass. And then if you shift the camera this way, you've got 2 sinks, and behind those other doors, I'm assuming are 2 separate toilets. There's this like super private courtyard area, and I'm not really 100% sure where this is. I'm assuming it's on the other side of the property opposite the front door. Here's a shot looking back at the house from the ocean, so I guess this just helps you know if you're a buyer and you go out for a swim. If you look back at your house, this is what you'll see. Another angle of the living room. I cannot imagine how amazing it would be to be sitting on that couch watching TV and then to be able to look to your right and just see the waves. And the last picture is just another area of the backyard, which shows us the little fire pit seating area, a built-in barbecue in the back, and then it looks like that's the staircase that takes you down to the sand. I don't know who the designer is on this one, but we know that Richard Landry is the architect behind this project, so that explains why architecturally the house is so cool. If I had to guess, the developer of this property didn't walk away with a huge payday after doing this awesome renovation. He originally picked the home up way back in 2015 for $22 million. Then after a 7-year renovation, he listed it for sale in June of 2022 for $69 million. And after a couple of price cuts, Richard Saghian scored the home for $40 million. When determining what the profit was on this deal for the developer, it really depends on first whether or not he used a loan, and then second exactly how much his construction costs were. I plugged all the figures into my house flip analysis calculator for fun, and assuming the developer paid $22 million cash for this place, then put around $8.5 million into the build in total, then had around $3.9 million in holding costs like loan interest, taxes, insurance, all of that. Then down here, we've got the $40 million sales price plugged in with a couple of selling costs. This tells us that the total profit on this deal was just over $3 million. But again, that's assuming they paid all cash for the house originally and assuming they were able to build for under $1,400 a foot. I have a lot of fun with that calculator. It's actually the calculator that I use for all of my much smaller house flips out here in Arizona. If you guys want a free copy of the calculator, just click the link down in the description. By the way, one more thing before we wrap this up. I want to go back to the one really quick and address something that quite a few of you guys commented and messaged me about, and that is that this house was actually listed in a coming soon for sale status that popped up this past week. Well, I did some digging and I got in touch with the listing brokers who put the property up for sale and determined that this was all one huge mistake and the home is not for sale and not coming up for sale anytime soon. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Congrats to Richard on his new beachfront home. I'll see you next time.